Hey mamas, you are listening to the Motherhood is Ghetto podcast. We all know motherhood can be a beautiful thing, but girl, it can also be ghetto. Join me as we discuss some of the best and worst parts of being a mom raising kids, all while trying to figure out this thing called life. This ghetto is a safe space, mamas. So welcome to the hood. Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode of Motherhood is Ghetto. My name is Joy, and how y'all doing out there? You already know. If you're doing all right, say amen. I pray you are having a great day. I pray you're having a great week so far. July is here, amen. So I pray that the month is off to a great start for you. And before we get into today's episode, I know you've already read the title. We're going to get into it, I promise. But before we get into today's episode, I would like to tell y'all already know what I'm about to say. We're finna talk about the Empowered Mama Planner for just a minute. Just a minute, okay? So the Empowered Mama Planner is a planner that I created just for moms, and it is to help you to prioritize your money, your finances, also your self-care, and to help you stay organized and keep all the dates, the important dates, to-do lists and stuff like that in one organized place. The planner has a love note from me to you. It has budgeting tips. It has self-care tips, tips to help you be a better planner of your money, and also tips to help you make self-care impactful and meaningful for you. It also has a undated monthly planner for all 12 months. So you can purchase this planner at any time of the year. Doesn't matter when you purchase it, you start it whenever you pick it up. So you fill in the dates, you fill in the months. And there is also a weekly planner for every month. So if you don't necessarily like writing on the calendar, there are weekly planner sheets within that same month that you can use to plan out your week. There are also pages for a 90-day brain dump. So every 90 days of the calendar, you will see a brain dump page. So that way you can kind of sort and organize all the thoughts and things that you want to get accomplished within the next 90 days. There's also lots of space to journal and reflect within the planner. So every month there is space for you to journal and just get all the thoughts and the feelings out. And then lastly, at the back of the planner, there are a lot of self-care and money saving challenges that you can use to help prioritize your self-care and your budgeting, and then also too to help you stay accountable. So, if that sounds like something that's right up your alley or something you've been looking for, it is available right now on Amazon, and I will have it linked in the show notes if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, I will have it linked in the description. I know that you've read the title, and I'm going to be 100% honest. I am nervous to share this story, and uh, I I thought a lot about sharing this story and other stories because one thing that I do want this podcast to serve as is a place that mothers feel comfortable coming to and listening to someone who they can relate to. And I was thinking to myself that I did want to share more stories, about things that I've gone throughout my motherhood journey, and some things are not pretty, this being one of them. And I would never get on here and preach to be perfect or be the perfect mom or have all the answers, and to be honest, I would never want to do that. So I'm sharing this for a few reasons. One of the reasons being that I just want all moms to know that We are not our mistakes. Our mistakes don't make us, they don't define us, and they are not an accurate representation of who we are and who we could potentially be. And we all make mistakes, things happen, but the most important thing is to learn from those mistakes and move forward. We cannot stay stuck. We cannot stay in a place where we're feeling like this is all that has for us and this is all that's meant for us. You can change things. You can turn things around for you, not only for your children, but also for yourself. So I'm hoping that me sharing this story helps the next mom who's feeling like she has failed her children in some way, or failed her family, or she's not good enough, or she will never get out of the situation that she's currently in. I want this story to serve as a testament that if I could go through something like this, or, if God allowed something like this to happen in my life and I was able to come out the other side, you know, thriving and chasing my goals and my dreams, then I want you to know that you can too. And I'm being 100% very vulnerable with this story. Like I said, it was one that I really went back and forth with. I prayed about it as to if I should even share it, but I feel like I need to share this story. So I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to get into the story. So, per the title, CPS almost took my kids not once, but twice. So, this story will have a part two, but this part of the story, I'm going to tell you about the first time that CPS almost took my kids. So, this happened when my daughter was about 4 years old. My daughter is 14 now, so this was about 10 years ago. And at the time, I had just had my youngest son not too long ago. And Solomon, of course, was already in the mix. So at this point in time, I had all three of my kids. All three of my kids were here on earth, everything. So one day I was at home. We were all at home, and my husband had left. Well, he was planning to leave to go somewhere, and I don't remember where he was going. It was such a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly where he was going. But my daughter wanted to go with him, so he was like, "I'm gonna take Bean with me. I'll be back." So I was like, "Okay, no worries." And at this time, we only had one car. So he had left with the car, and I was at home with the boys, and I was home with my one of my stepdaughters. So we're at home and everything, just doing what we do. And a few hours later, I get a call on my phone, and it's my husband calling me. And so I pick up the phone, and there's a lot of like chaos and stuff going on in the background, so I really can't hear. So I pick up the phone and I'm like, "Hello? Hello?" And I can hear him talking, but it's like he's not talking to me. And then the phone cuts off. So I'm like, "Okay, like what's going on?" So I try to call him back and he's not picking up the phone. And at this point, I'm starting to panic because I'm like, what's going on? Like, he has my daughter. Like, what? I just don't know what's going on, and he's not picking up his phone. And then I get another phone call, this time from a different phone number. And I don't recognize the number at all, but I'm like, let me answer this because I know my husband was trying to call me. And so I answer the phone, and it's Las Vegas Metro Police Department. And they proceed to tell me that I need to come get my daughter, or they will be releasing her into the custody of Child Protective Services. And At this point, I'm not understanding anything that's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. I don't know if my husband's okay. I don't know if my daughter's okay because the police officer on the phone is not telling me anything. He's not telling me nothing. He's just saying, "You need to get down here. If you don't come here, then we are going to put your daughter in the custody of Child Protective Services." And I said, "Okay." And I quickly hang up the phone. I tell him like I'm on my way, and I hang up the phone. As soon as I hung up the phone, I realized I have no car. How am I supposed to get to them? I have no car. And also I forgot to mention, the officer did tell me where they were in the city. So where my husband was in proximity to where we lived, it was a little bit of a drive, like maybe he was about 15-20 minutes away. So I know exactly where he is. I just have no way to get to them. And I don't know why I thought to call my brother-in-law, but I did. I don't know, like, cause that he's usually not a person that I would ever call for anything, but and I think the reason why I did call him was because I believe he had just left my house because my stepdaughter had spent the night with them and they were dropping her off. So I think that at the time that I called him, it hadn't been too long ago since he left my house. So I called him and I asked him if he could please come back to the house and pick me up and take me to go get my daughter. And he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't even know." Like, Metro called me and they told me to come get Genesis, or they're going to send her to Child Haven or be in CPS custody. So my brother-in-law comes to the house. He picks me up. I tell him what cross streets the police say that they're on, and so we drive there. So this is the part of the story where I'm going to try not to get emotional, but this is the part of the story where I kind of want to just take a minute to explain that in this moment, like God was doing some things. So we're driving up to where the police officer said that my daughter and my husband are. And when we turn the corner, I see my car in the middle of the intersection of the road, right smack dab in the middle of the intersection. All four doors open, wide open. There's nobody in the driver's seat, nobody in the passenger seat. I look in the back seat. I see my daughter's car seat, but I don't see my daughter. And I'm panicking. I don't even see the police officers. I don't see anybody. And it's crazy because it's the middle of the day. Like, there were no cars driving by. Like, it was just nobody. And my heart just dropped to the floor. I was like, there's no way they took my daughter. Like, there's no way. And I was like, where's my husband? Like, where is he? So we pull up. I get out of the car. I go run into my car. And then I see an officer get out of his car and come walking towards me. And I'm asking him, like, where's my daughter? And he keeps asking me questions like, you so and so, or you the person I call? Yes, where's my daughter? And I don't see her anywhere. Like, she's nowhere to be found. And then out the corner of my eye, I see someone holding my daughter's hand walking towards me. And it's a older lady, and it looked like maybe it was her daughter that was with her, and the older lady was holding my daughter's hand. And as soon as I saw my daughter, I ran to her And I was like, "Are you okay? Like, is everything all right?" And of course, like 4-year-old, like she's like, "I'm fine." And she's trying to explain to me what happened to my husband, but the words aren't wording with her as a 4-year-old. But from what I was able to make out, she did say, Daddy was hurt. So, um, so I'm talking to the police officer, and they're kind of telling me what happened. And, you know, they, I guess it's part of the story. I have to add a little bit of context to. I I don't know exactly what happened because honestly, I don't even think my husband remember what happened, but I do remember at that time of our lives, it was very tough. It was a very, very challenging time in our lives. It was now that I think about it, it was 2014, maybe 2015, because that was the worst year of my life. And I remember just it being very chaotic. And I know during that time when that happened, my husband had just lost his mother and he was not in a good space. He was not in a good space mentally, not even physically, because he wasn't eating right. He was doing a lot of drinking, a lot of drug use. So he was not in his right state of mind. So I don't necessarily know what happened at that time. I don't know what happened to how the car got to where it was, what happened, how police got involved. I still to this day don't know for sure exactly. But so I'm talking to a police officer and he's telling me, yeah, he's not going to jail, but we did call an ambulance for him and he's at such and such hospital. But, we needed you to come here so you can get your daughter and get your car. And I was like, I appreciate you calling me. Thank you so much. Like all this yada yada. And then I turned to the lady that had my daughter and I'm telling her, thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know what I would do like if you weren't here, yada yada yada. And she proceeds to tell me that she said that she knew my husband. And when everything was happening, with the police and all that, she said me and my daughter were walking down the street and I recognized him. And she said, I turned to my daughter and I said, that's Jahari. And her daughter was like, yeah, like that's Jahari. And she said that when they handcuffed my husband or whatever they were doing at that time with my husband, she grabbed my daughter and told them, you need to call her mother. And from what she was telling me, like they weren't trying to do that. Like they were ready to send my daughter wherever and take my husband into custody, and I would have had to jump through hoops to get my daughter because um she was put in danger basically. Like she was in harm's way and they were going to take her, and she told them like you need to call her mother. I don't know what her number is or how y'all can get a hold of her, but she said, I'm not letting this little girl go until you call her mom. Her mom will come get her. And mind you, I don't know this lady. I don't know her. I've never met her before. I've never seen her before, but she was adamant and she would not let my daughter be taken by anybody. So So pretty much I have that lady to thank, and like I said, it was just nothing but God. And just to touch on what I had stated briefly about my husband not being in a good space mentally, um during that time there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on. My husband had just lost his job. His mother had passed away, and our our relationship, like our marriage, was not in the best place. I didn't know how to help my husband through what he was going through. And also too, to top it off, like, I'm young, like I'm at this time, like I'm in my 20s, like I don't, I've never really dealt with that level of death in my life up until that point. So in my mind, I would tell myself, like, I understand that he's hurting, but at the same time, like, we got these kids to raise, so I need him to snap out of it. And looking back at it now, like, I feel like that was super insensitive of me. But it was just like, I can't do this by myself. I need you to figure out whatever's going on with you. But honestly, I think that it was just really the grief and everything just on top of everything. And where we lived was not the best environment for him or our kids, but it was all we could afford. It was all that we could get, like with our credit. And I did a lot of trying to escape, and not necessarily like escape, like doing substances or drugs or stepping out in my marriage or anything like that. Not that type of escape, just escaping, like working long hours at work. I mean, we definitely needed the extra money, but we didn't need it like that. Like I was able to handle and take care of our bills despite my husband not having a job. I was still able to handle everything. It was hard, but I was still able to handle everything and just not wanting to be home because the the different moods that like my husband would have, it was like I never knew who I was going to wake up to, whether I was going to wake up to my loving sweet husband or if I was going to wake up to the biggest asshole in the city. So I was just like, anytime I woke up to that asshole, I didn't want to be anywhere near. I wanted to just go to my mom's house or do something else. But I think this first time that CPS almost took my child, I think that was, well, I don't think I know. I know that that was God's way of trying to let me know, hey, I need you to refocus and reprioritize. I need you to figure out a way to get your family in a better situation, or there's going to be more. Like this isn't going to stop. And I feel like he used this incident, this this circumstance to get my attention, because when it comes to my kids, I think the Lord knows and the enemy knows that that's the one and only way to get my attention. It's the only way to get me to react and to move and to take action. And really, that's how it was back then. Everything that I did, everything that I prayed and dreamed for and worked towards was for my kids. And the Lord knew that there needed to be a change. There needed to be a drastic change, but I don't think that I was paying attention. I was too busy trying to escape. I was too busy trying to escape what my marriage was turning into and the environment that we were in. Because where we lived, it was a place where I did not want to live. And if you are also from Las Vegas, just to say, like, it was on the east side. And I don't know what it is about the east side, but the east side has a dark cloud over it. It's sinister almost. And it feels like when you're there, it feels like you will never get out of there. And that's how I felt a lot of the times. I'm like, we're going to have to live here for like I don't think we'll ever move from here because this is all we can afford. This is all we can get on our credit. Like, I don't have the money to make my credit better. Like, we're stuck here. So I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there at all. But also, too, I feel like the Lord was trying to tell me, like, hey, we definitely need to take a closer look into what's going on with hubby. Like, you're not gonna be able to leave your kids or let your kids go off with your husband right now. There's something going on, and it needs your attention, whatever that looks like. And I feel like the Lord knew, like, putting me in a position of almost losing my child would be the wake up call for me to do something, take action, get us out of that environment so that way my husband can start to heal. And unfortunately, I don't think I heard him the first time because I almost got my kids taken again a second time. And I will share that story in the next episode. But I really do feel like at that time, truly, things needed to change. And I don't think that I was ready to face that. I don't think that I was ready to come to terms with that. And when I say change, like, I mean a lot of changes. Y'all, there was just so much going on. There was so much going on. And to have three young children and the environment that we had them in and just everything that was going on, it was not healthy. It was not the best environment. And I carried around a lot of guilt because of that for a long time. And it, I don't know, it's hard to explain because it's a part of my life that I don't wish to think about and I don't want to relive, but I know it's a part of my story. And I one day hope to be, on stages sharing my story with other women and inspiring them to keep going and not give up on themselves or their dreams or not fall victim to their circumstances or get stuck in that mindset that, well, this is how it's always going to be and I can't change anything. Because you can change things. Things can change for you in the matter of a second. So with me sharing this, I just hope that it is inspiring somebody. But once we go over part two, then there will be an overarching message. But I just felt like I I want to share more with y'all. And I want to share the sides of my motherhood journey that have not been so great. I know that I do talk a lot about our experiences and my experience, um, with a very optimistic outlook, and that is truly how I feel. I always look at the glass half full rather than half empty. But this was a time in my life where I really struggled. I really struggled with staying positive and being present. And it was a time in my life where I just wanted to escape. I wanted God to just fast forward the time. And so that way I can get past it. And now I know, looking back and how the series of events played out, I know that God was like, no, I have to put you through this because you're not going to learn otherwise. You're not going to do what you need to do to get your family out of this neighborhood, out of this side of town. You're not going to put your focus where it's needed. And yes, it's going to take you almost losing your children to wake up and focus on what's necessary to put you on the path to where I need you to be. Because right now you're not on that path and I need to redirect you. And like I said, like it's like God knows exactly how to get to me, but so does the enemy. So does the enemy. And it's crazy how just so many things were happening at the same time that were super horrible, but at the same time, I can only see it now as I look back that God really did have his hands on the situation the whole time. The whole time. He just needed me to open my eyes a little bit more. And I'm glad that he did. So this is going to conclude part 1 of CPS almost taking my kids twice. So next week, I will be sharing with y'all the second time CPS almost took my kids. Um, and it's still crazy to say it out loud. I don't think that I've ever shared this story with anyone. I've shared it with my kids before, just in the spirit of transparency, so my kids are aware, but like at the time they didn't remember like what was going on. So, but this is me just being vulnerable and sharing with y'all a time in my life where as a mother I was not at my best. Not to say I was at my worst, but I was not at my best. Mistakes were made, and it almost cost us dearly. It almost cost us dearly. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful we made it out on the other side. And I just want you to know that if you are in a similar situation or ever been in a situation before and you're feeling like you're stuck or you're feeling like I'll never be able to get past this or create a better life for myself or my kids, you can. Don't ever think that you can't. Just don't give up. You have to try. No matter how long it takes, you will make it over to the other side. Things will get better. Your situation, your circumstances, everything will get better, but you have to make sure that you're focused on the right things. And at that time I wasn't focused on the right things, and it almost cost me. So, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and land the plane here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for allowing me this space and opportunity to share this experience with you guys. If you liked it or found it helpful, please share with any other mama who you think would find it helpful. Don't forget to follow the podcast. You can follow if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And also, too, I'm on YouTube, so you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'm on YouTube Podcasts, too, now. Amen. So if you like YouTube podcasts instead of regular YouTube videos, they are also on there as well. You can also follow me on Instagram at motherhood_ghetto. I post videos there, me and the kids, so you can keep up with us. And you can DM me there too. So if you have any topics you'd like me to cover on motherhood, or if you have any questions for me, my DMs are open, so you can reach me there. And then lastly, if you haven't already, go pick up your copy of the Empower Mama Planner, and the Motherhood is Ghetto Self-Care Journal for Mothers is also available on Amazon. All links will be provided in the show notes as well as in the description box of YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, mamas. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget to follow the podcast and share with anyone who you think may enjoy it. And follow me on Instagram at motherhood_ghetto. Also, feel free to DM me if you have any experiences, opinions, or views on motherhood you'd like me to share on the podcast. Until next time, mamas.